Hi everyone. Well, I'm going to talk about how people fall in love and how it's hard to explain. Well, I was in love once with this guy. He was tall, handsome, etc., etc. Um, we liked each other since the first day we met, but we never saw each other. So we finally went out when I was in the eighth, he was in the seventh. We went out for like 12 months, a whole year. And we were thinking it's not going to work out when I go to high school. So we decided to break up. People don't understand that it hurts people because they're losing a part of themselves. They're losing someone they love. But I still love him to death, but I moved on. I don't have like a boyfriend really right now, but me, I'm just trying to get past the baggage. But we are BFL, we are best friends. We still tell each other everything. If you go out with your best friend or something like that, y'all should still go back to being friends. If you don't really go to spoken reasons, love relationships, because he said the same exact thing. So what I'm saying is, you don't have to act the way you are after you lose someone. This is Liliani. 1, 2, 3. Deuces.